It's hard to find a more fitting combination than a British championship winning Formula One car racing at the track that has hosted the most British Grand Prix of any circuit. But the drivers will have to do more than just stay calm and carry on, because the historic layout of Silverstone is fast and treacherous. Concentration and skill will be required to be quick, and only one driver will be able to claim the top step. We'll find out who it is as we get ready to watch round 7 of the Lotus 79 Classic Teams Championship, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is former real-world IndyCar driver Richie Hearn. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Richie, Silverstone has changed a bit since this version here on iRacing, so in case our viewers are expecting the modern layout, why don't you give us a rundown?
Yeah, thank you, Joe. And here we are at Classic Silverstone. And if you don't know Silverstone, then you just don't know much about racing, as this is the home of British motorsports. Opened up in 1948 after World War II on the old Air Force Air Force base there. It's very flat, very fast, not very many chicanes. Pretty much all the passing is going to have to be done in the draft. It's 3.142 miles or 5 kilometers. So we got 16 turns and should be fast and furious. We'll see how these goes. It's a fun track for a fun car. Probably the best way for you guys to see what it's like is to jump on board that GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Juha Norlampi and the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Silverstone. Coming down to Cops, this is a wicked fast corner in this car. Pass attempts will only come from the brave or the foolish. Where the car winds up determines which you were. Coming off the corner, bring it to the right for the best line into the Maggots-Beckett sequence. This set of S's starts with quicker corners that get slower as you go. Being able to keep your speed up to produce more grip from the ground effects will be important through here. Ideally, you want to set yourself up for the launch off the final right-hander, and once you blast through Chapel, you'll see why. The Lotus tends to punch a big hole in the air, and with the length and speed of the hanger straight feeding that, cars will get a giant slipstream. Expect plenty of pass attempts down into Stowe. The problem is, it's got a pretty short braking zone. Plus, if you can carry your speed around the outside, sometimes drivers will be able to fight back on the run-up to Vale. Unfortunately, in the historic layout, it's a fast sweeper with a narrow line into Club. That means drivers will want to sort it out instead of attempting a too-wide entry. Off of Club, once again, your exit will be critical to the lap. The historic layout removes the Abbey chicane and returns it to its traditional fast kink. Passes might once again take place, but the grip of the 79 makes bridge frighteningly quick. That does make it easier to take a wider entry into Priory, where the more technical final few turns of the course begin. But if there's one thing this car isn't a fan of, it's low-speed turns. It takes a gentle right foot without the downforce to help you out with this beast's immense power. The main thing is to set yourself up for the run out of Luffield. You can see how tough it is to get on the gas. Woodcote is easily flat out, and as you come across the line, you've now finished a lap around Silverstone.
That should give you a good sense of what we're talking about when we say how fast this version of the circuit is. Now, let's take a glance at the driver standings, where the points sit so far in this season. You do see Gerdo Frisch up at the top, but look at Steve Bycroft closing in. You can see that there are no drop points available for any of these drivers right now. We'll get those calculated a little bit later, but it is looking awful tight without those drop points put into effect. Matt Wood, of course, jumps up ahead of Unhola after Unhola not having the best of days. And then Adam Frazier, a four position swing up into the top 5. Not bad showing for him. Let's go to the team standings. Richie, what are we looking at there?
Yeah, we got a really close battle here for the team standings. They do get 2 drops as well, but we got Martini Racing Team Lotus moving up into the top spot, but they're only 3 spots ahead of Team Williams. Right behind them, 5 markers back, is Akip Renault Elf. And then we got a little bit of break between 4th and 5th with McLaren. And sorry, my eyes don't work very well. I can't read that. So they're 26 points back. And but this team battle is going to go right down to the end, and that's part of this championship. It's called the Classic Team Championship for a reason, so we'll keep an eye on that.
And then, of course, the details for today's race. You can see the drop points for both the drivers and the teams. 4 for the drivers, 2 for the teams. Today's race is 30 laps, just like last week. It is no stop for fuel scheduled, though, in these cars, just like they ran back in the late 70s. They're just sprinting from start to finish, and if you have to stop in the pits, then something went terribly wrong. They do have an incident cap in the series, which means you can be disqualified with enough off tracks. And the points that we showed you are based on the official iRacing points that they use. Taking a look at the qualifying, we're just getting ready for some of the cars to get their first timed lap in. And it looks like Atkinson Jr. going to be up at the top. He showed well in the Nissans a little bit earlier, but Steve Bycroft going to demote him very quickly. Kendrick Taylor jumps up onto the front row. We're still waiting for Nora Lompy to put his time in.
One thing about this track, when they do their qualifying, with a little experience myself with this car, is it's real easy to get that 1X dropping a wheel, and it's going to negate your time. So it's going to be tough to kind of put it all together. But I think we're going to have a pretty wide open race. I don't think it's going to be as critical as it has been on some of the tighter circuits we've been on lately.
Let's take a look at Adam Frazier just coming around to finish his lap. He's got the number 3 on his car, so we expect him to do well. Otherwise, he's going to be losing a lot of I rating today. So around Woodcote, the line comes up early. What's he got? A 129.1, and that is good enough for the front row. Going to Sergio Fernandez now in the number 4. Richie?
I was just going to say that front row right now is 29.14 and a 29.16, so it's very tight up there.
Well, never mind. Sergio Fernandez goes 0.3 faster, takes the pole with a 28.8. First driver to break into the 28 so far. Does Nora Lompy have a response for that? He's coming around Luffield at the moment. Just Woodcote left to go. And he's got the number 1 on his car. No surprise here. The Finn, known for being incredibly quick, just has not been able to finish races so far. At 28.4 is going to be good enough for pole. Suarez is going to try to give him an answer. The number 6 comes around Woodcote as well. As he crosses the line, it's a 29.3. Not quite good enough for the front row. In fact, he's only down in the 3rd row in 6th.
And Nora Lompy dropping 0.4 on Sergio Fernandez, so nice lap for him. He's just got to have a nice, clean race. He's been fast all year, just hasn't been able to put it all together.
So we're watching Fernandez just coming around Priory now to finish his lap. You mentioned that you expected qualifying not to be as critical at this track. Is the draft that powerful down the long straights that we're going to see those slipstream battles?
It can be. I mean, it's really about getting the run off those corners, as here comes Fernandez over the line. Let's see what he can do. And he does go a little bit faster, moves him up into the front row. But part of the problem, though, with that is that everybody's going to be running that low downforce. So when you are behind the car, it's going to be tough to get that run. But track's wide enough to where we can run side by side. And like I said, it's going to be a great track for these cars. It's a lot of fun in this vehicle.
Plumlee gets his first time in, puts him to 20th. We're still waiting on a couple cars to get their first time lap in. Bennett, Solima, and McClellan, although McClellan does not appear to be out on track. Lompy's second lap goes a little faster to 28.1. Suarez second lap. Does he have a response? At 28.8, a little bit of one, but only good enough for 4th place, sadly. Time ticking down. Drivers are running out of opportunities. Robert Plumlee on his second lap might not even be able to make it to the line. We got about a minute to go. Could be close, but I think he's going to be able to get to the end as they come through the Abbey Kink, back when it was a kink. Now it turns the other direction, actually. It's the first corner of the track.
This section they're coming up to now is the tightest part of the track, and it is hard to get that car rotated as you aren't running very much downforce. But right here, this last corner, it's going to be it's important to get that run, because this is where you can kind of just get a nice run onto that front straightaway. See what happens.
And I was shocked when I was watching the lap guides as he puts a 130.8 that's good enough for 19th, that drivers were just lifting into the first corner. They weren't even braking into Copse. Corrigan put in a 31.0. That puts him up 20th, just behind Plumley. And that's going to be it for the grid. So let's go through your starting order. Nora Lampe on the pole. Can he convert it, though? Sergio Fernandez will be next to him in second. Adam Frazier, good enough for third, with Pablo Suarez fourth. Bycroft looked fast at the start of qualifying, but slips down the order to fifth. Kendrick Taylor, going to be P6. John Atkinson Jr. comes off of a win in the Camel Series. He starts seventh, with Jean-Francois Boscus in eighth, and Uwe Trangerade in ninth. Barry West, with a very good qualifying, in 10th. Richie?
Starting 11th will be Marco Kayla. Right next to him in 12th will be Rodrigo Capoletto. 13th will be Tony Teolis. 14th, Dustin Hereder. 15th is going to be John Stevens. Right next to him will be Keith Turner in 16th. 17th, Adnan Dzarevic. 19th will be Robert Simpkins. 18th is Robert Simpkins. 19th is Robert Plumley. And starting 20th is Glenn Corrigan.
Steve Sarles will be 21st, with Armando Edwards in 22nd. Then it's Todd Herner in the 23rd position. Christopher Bennett, the last driver to get a time in, at 24th. Francesco Solima, 25th. And Duncan McClellan, 26th. And it looks like both drivers should be able to grid up as I see them in the session. They might start from the pits. We'll find out soon enough. It is a difficult curved start. How tough is it to get the power down with that curve that they come around on Woodcote at the green, Richie?
It's very difficult. When I did my race, I think last year, in the series I was running, I was starting around the curve. So you're kind of pointed. It's hard to get going straight. And these cars don't have any traction control. So having a nice throttle control with your right foot is going to be important, so you don't send it in off the track.
We'll see if anybody loses out. We have had problems in past races at the start. So as the engines start to rev, green flag is out here at Silverstone for round 7 of the Classic Teams Championship. Nora Lampe looks good off the line. He immediately swings off to the racing line into Copse. As they all come down in, a little bit of contact between Atkinson and Taylor. They both make it through. In fact, a few cars swing wide. With that paved runoff, it is a nice, clean start.
Nice, clean start up front, but back in the middle of the pack, these guys are spreading out all over the place, trying to get any position they can. Tires are going to be cold this first half a lap, so it's going to take a little bit with very little downforce to get it up to speed, but clean start for everybody so far.
Is warm temperatures today on the track surface, 100 degrees down there. So the British sun baking up those tires rather quickly as Nora Lampe comes through Copse for the first time, and they swing through the quicker version of Vale. So far, all the cars quickly, single file, not much action among the field.
Yeah, I think you're just seeing them feel it out a little bit with that 100-degree temp. Like you said, it will come up fast, and it might play a part as we get longer into the race, as these tires start to slide around more and more. But as the fuel load burns off, it helps get them faster and faster. But everybody's single file so far, doing a great job. A little bit smaller field than we normally have, but should have some good racing.
26 cars, so it'd be a full F1 field. Few cars trying to make dives up the inside or maybe around the outside in the case of Glenn Corrigan. As we go to third place, we got a little bit of a battle between Frazier and Suarez. Suarez all over the back of Adam as they come through Copse. Adam a little too shallow into it. Suarez knows it. He comes around the outside. They come up side by side to the Maggots-Beckett sequence, and Suarez is going to pull out of it.
Yeah, Suarez is going to pull out of it, but then it puts him right into the back of Steve Bycroft and John Atkinson. Suarez trying to do the over-under in turn 1. Didn't quite work out, and now he's lost all that speed coming down the straightaway. Now he's got to worry about the group behind him.
That's Bycroft catching up with Suarez, still managing to hold him off. Now, up ahead of them, that battling means that Fernandez and Nora Lampe have stretched away about 2 seconds ahead of Frazier, finding themselves a nice little gap. And as we've seen, that can be bad news for the rest of the field as long as they can keep it on the pavement, because they tend to have incredible pace.
Up front, top three just kind of separating out a little bit, although Fernandez is keeping him honest, but he's still 7/10 behind. Frazier's got his hands full as Suarez is starting to come right back up to him. It seems Suarez is faster in this section, and this is coming out of this corner right here, coming onto the front straightaway is where Suarez was able to challenge him, although Frazier gets a good run and not much challenge right now.
Clever driver learns each lap, and I think Adam Frazier just did, keeping himself much safer this time by across the line to start lap 3. It is getting a little spread out now amongst those top 5. It's behind them where it gets closer. If you look at P7, Taylor, Boscus, and Kayla are looking to try and challenge for P7.
Yeah, we got a big group there between Kendrick Taylor, Boscus, Kayla, and then a couple of guys, Herder and Barry West, battling it out. So it's starting to tighten up for that 7th through 12th position.
A little bit of a duck to the inside by Boscus, attempting to overtake Taylor, but he's a little too far back for that one. Holds behind him as they come up to Club. Can he maybe get a run on their way down towards Bridge and Priory? He falls back as Taylor looking strong exactly where he needs to be. Not missing anything up at the front. They hold the gap amongst each other. Now coming into the slower final portion of the lap. In fact, Taylor looking like he's gaining on Atkinson Jr. for P6 as well. Watch from Atkinson's view as they come onto the front stretch off of the slow Luffield turn. Atkinson manages to pull about a half a second gap, and they hit Copse here, high commitment corner, and they all keep it on the black stuff. Nobody swinging wide into the paved runoff, and in fact Atkinson continuing to pull away from Taylor. It's now up to 7/10, so he responds.
Yeah, as he pulls away, you look right in the back of them. We have Kendrick Taylor is doing all right, but Boscus and Keela really fighting it out for that 8th, 9th position. Keela not letting him go at all in that classic Ferrari car.
Marco applying a lot of pressure on the number 10. But so far, no attempts, just hovering behind him, getting himself in the mirror as they come through Club. Can he get a potential run off of here? He's staying with him much closer than what we saw last lap in the battle between Taylor and Boscus.
Right there, if you can get a good run off that corner, you can really get a good draft, but not happening yet for Kayla as he tightens up, tries to take a little bit different line and trying to get some clean air. As you see him go wide and try to square that corner off. He's not able to make a move just yet, but he's definitely putting the heat on Boscus.
Yeah, Marco getting within a car length here. The Finn seems to be a little bit faster than Boscus, but the Frenchman is not succumbing to it quite yet. Up at the top of the screen, you may have seen that Johan Lampe set the fastest lap of the race. He is streaking away. Meanwhile, Boscus slow off of Copse. Here comes Marcus. Marco trying to see if he can do anything before Maggots Beckett's, but he just runs out of track.
Oh, he's right on the tail of him right here, as you see on screen. Not able to kind of get the drive he wants, but he's just waiting for Boscus to make a tiny mistake. He's going to take that spot. Meanwhile, Nora Lampe, I was watching him a little earlier. He's trying hard to get that gap, and that's what made him get that fastest lap early on in this event.
Ooh, we got a battle just behind this. This is Heroder and West down in 10th and 11th. Dustin having to go defensive as they come up to Vale. Barry actually managed to sneak a nose inside him through Stowe, but couldn't do anything with it. This did slow them up. Look at this. Uwe Tranqueray now comes up on both of them as they come to the Abbey Kink. Looks around one side, comes back into the draft. Now up to Bridge. Could he sneak attack him into Priory? No, just going to fall back.
Yeah, he tried to go around the outside there. It's a tough spot. And then here they go under the tunnel or under the bridge and into that tight last section of the track. And yeah, Barry West was trying to make a move on Hereder, and then that just opened the door for Ove to kind of jump on into that battle. He's also got Rodrigo Capoletto right behind him.
Yeah, this has certainly caused a little bit of a train. Not exactly the effect that Barry West wanted. He's got some ground to make up on Dustin if he wants to try and get that pass done. They come out of the first corner down towards Maggots Beckett's one more time. Everybody single file through the right, left, right, onto the hangar straight. Can anybody get the launch off the Chapel corner? Look about dead even between all four of them.
Meanwhile, Noah Lampe put another fast lap, and he's opened that to about a 3.5 second gap over Fernandez. So if he just kind of keeps it clean, he's going to just pull away. Adam Frazier's still in a battle here. He's got two cars, Suarez and Bycroft, right behind him. Not close enough to make a move, but he's going to have his hands full as we watch on screen there as they come down that section through the little kink.
It almost looks like today, Richie, that it's all a matter of keeping your head together, because drivers seem to be having a little difficulty in overtaking, but if anybody makes a mistake, everybody is immediately on them.
Well, a part of the problem is you're running that low downforce makes it hard to follow, but you got the speed down the straight, and with a lack of like heavy braking sections, everything's going to be all the passing's going to have to be made in a faster corner. So you can see him really struggling to get within close enough space to make a move, but really is going to come down to just not making a mistake.
So it doesn't matter if it's 1978 or 2019, the cars still have to deal with the dirty air of the car in front, and it's just plain tough to pass in Formula One. This battle for third staying at something of a stalemate. Frazier, Suarez, and Bycroft all about 7/10 apart from one another. Down in eighth place, we got a battle here, Richie.
I was going to say, Marco has not given up on Boscus. He is right behind him, working on that 8th, 9th position. We watched this a little early on. It hasn't changed, but Kayla is able to stay pretty close to him, closer than other cars, but he hasn't been close enough to make a move. I think he's just waiting for Boscus maybe drop a wheel here or clip the curb a little too hard, but he's keeping Boscus honest, that's for sure.
We had a pass for position down in 15th. Dizderevich managed to get by Teolis into Stowe. Just managed to go in deep and force Teolis to the outside. Move himself up to P15.
Yeah, right behind. Oh, and Adnan almost loses it right in front of that group. He's going to bring Teolis back into the mix. And right behind them, you can see two more cars joining in. I think that's Glenn Corrigan and John Stevens as well. So this is tightening up, even though it's for 15th. They're racing as hard as they can.
Oh, and something happened to Keela. He's fallen down my time and in scoring. He is off the track. This is in Cops. Ooh, I think he touched that AstroTurf.
Yeah, just here comes the replay. He's going to get outside just a little bit too long. And there he goes, and that's the end of his day. So that's the end of that battle.
Ugh, disappointment for the Finn. Certainly frees up Boscus, though. He now has a 3.5 second lead back to Heroder, as well as 2 seconds up to Kendrick Taylor. So kind of all by his lonesome now that he's been left by his Finnish friend.
Yeah, and that will probably make him help concentrate more on just putting some fast laps and try to get back up to Taylor like he was earlier.
That battle we were looking at earlier, farther down in the field with Corrigan getting incredibly tight. John Stevens is right underneath his rear wing. They come through bridge now. If he could stay with him, he could maybe send one in, but he's not quite willing to. He's going to stay in line. They are also incredibly tight behind Tony Teolis up there in 15th place, everybody having been promoted 1 due to Marco Keela.
Yeah, Glenn Corrigan having to drive fairly defensively at the moment with John Stevens right on his tail. It's kind of compromising his exit speed, so that's leaving John in his draft as they come through turn 1. And we'll see if they can just get a little battle going. Tony Teolis is not too far in front of him either.
Absolutely. And that, I wonder if that's helping Corrigan as well, giving him some slipstream down the straights to keep Stevens from really being able to swamp him. They come on to Hanger. We'll see if anybody gets the opportunity, and it doesn't look like that. So knowing that, let's go to the battle for 10th, because West and Trangarade, actually Ove going all the way off course. Can't quite get it done. Barry West, although manages to overtake. I think he was behind him. No, he was ahead, so it was a successful defense.
Yeah, I mean, Ove was right up alongside him trying to make that move, and Barry squeezed him off just enough to keep that position. But look who's right behind them there as well. Rodrigo Capoletto's just kind of licking his chops, maybe gain some positions if these two do get together.
That kind of surprises me. Barry's usually a rather polite driver. So for him to get that aggressive, I think he's learning how to get a little bit of a mean streak underneath him. See, he's racing it at something of a home track, coming off of left field. Nice exit, putting Uwe Trangarade just a little bit farther behind him. And did we have a pass for third? This was Suarez overtaking Adam Frazier off of Luffield. Just outgunned him. Oh, Luffield a little bit wheels off as well.
Yeah, Suarez has been putting on the heat on Frazier for a while, and finally Frazier makes a little bit of a mistake and gets that pass done. But as we watch the replay, Frazier is all over the back of him. I mean, he's getting close. There you go. He just gets off the pavement a little bit, has to spin the tires and loses that space. But back live, and you can see the rear wing off of Suarez is.
They're going.
Oh, there we go. Now,
side.
hey,
Yeah.
it was the same thing. Here he goes side by side, and these guys are not giving up for that final podium spot.
Frazier with a brilliant move at bridge, going around the outside of Suarez to take it back. This is getting fierce, and don't forget Steve Bycroft, the Hoosier, is starting to lick his chops, thinking that maybe he could get on the podium here. He watches from the popcorn position. They're starting to settle out once more, but I don't think Suarez is just going to sit on his laurels.
No, that was a pretty brave pass by Frazier, and I think that's kind of what you have to do. Is that everybody's going to try to take the inside in some of these corners. You're just going to have to basically pull your pants up and go around the outside and just see what happens. Meanwhile, Noah Lampe puts in another fast lap, and that battle for first is pretty much disappeared as he's 7 seconds up. This battle for third, fourth, and fifth.
Ooh, Dizdarevich seems to have lost control of the car, and I think this was in Cops. This is a lone car incident, and wow, it went away as soon as he turned the car in. He just gets it going, but unfortunately he falls all the way to 21st with that problem.
Yeah, just turned in a little early and lost the rear end.
So, yeah, Noah Lampe just pretty much dominating the field so far today. Fernandez has had no response. Really, the battle has been for the bottom step of the podium between Frazier, Suarez, and Bycroft. Well, very, very close together, and is currently our best battle with the top of the field.
Yeah, this is a really good battle. I think this is going to go pretty close to the end. We're already working a third of the race over with. Lap 12 of 30. Noah Lampe another fast lap, so he is feeling it today. He's just got to try to keep it together, and he's going to get that win.
Now, how is this layout with traffic? Is it a little bit easier with more straights and fewer chicanes?
It is and it isn't. I mean, it just depends on where that car in front of you is running. As we can see, it's tough to get close enough to make the pass because everybody's running low downforce. But if the guy you're lapping is being friendly, he can just kind of get out of that air for you and just let you have the corners. So, but the one thing about this track, as you can see, it is very, very wide as from that shot we're looking at. So there's plenty of room to go side by side. You just got to get the chance to get up inside of somebody.
We go to 6. Atkinson and Taylor also tussling here amongst the top 10. Taylor getting very close to John, though it was a pretty good win for Atkinson over in the Camel Series at Le Mans. He ran away with it after his main competition fell by the wayside. Today, just struggling to crack into the top 5 in that number 7 machine.
Still have some great battles, 2-car battles between Glenn Corrigan, John Stevens, also Barry West and Ove Trinkerade. Nothing's changed, but they're close enough to pick up the pieces if something happens.
We could go to Corrigan with his tussle with Stevens. I actually want to point out that Corrigan started in 20th, and that is legit. He got a lap time in, and he's up to 15th right now. So this is a very good run for Glenn, considering we've only had 1 retirement.
Yeah, and his car looks clean as well. So he's made some good passes, had a great first lap. Now he's doing a good job trying to hold off John Stevens.
Stevens very close behind, a little bit wide through Copse, though, and that certainly sets him back a little bit. But the number 12 collects it, keeps the car together. He's going to have to regroup and attack once more. They've still got Teolis within sight up ahead of them, just not within attacking range.
Yeah, you can see right behind him, that battle right there. Another great 2-car battle going on between our Armando Edwards and Steve Sarlis.
Up to Stowe, and Sarl's going to just chop him off at the apex. Edwards coming through shallow, hoping it'll give him a chance, but doesn't look like that one's going to work today. They start fighting. Don't forget Plumley, Simpkins, and Dizderevich very close behind. This could become an almighty 5-car battle. Oh, and behind them, unfortunately, Simpkins having to hold off the recovering Dizderevich, who's going to have the inside into Bridge, but that unfortunately switches to the outside of Priory. Can he maybe pull the over-under? Coming up to Brooklands, he thinks about it, but he's not quite far enough to the inside.
Yeah, going side by side under the bridge there, that is tricky. So and trying to make up for that little spin he had early on. He looks a little bit hurried trying to get back up there. He's definitely faster than Simpkins, but he just can't quite get close enough to make the pass complete.
Ahead of them, we had a change for positions. Edwards got by Sarles when Steve went off track at Luffield, so it was an easy pass for the number 20 car to get to 17th. As all this has been happening, 10th place, well, it's becoming more of a battle for 9th place, actually, as all 3 cars, 2 wheels off into the grass out of Stowe. Dustin Roeder with Barry West right up underneath that rear wing with Uwe Trangerade also closing in. In fact, this is a great run. Trangerade has got the slipstream. We've seen some brave moves through Bridge. Are we going to see another one from the Norwegian? I don't know. It doesn't look like he's going to have the opportunity, and indeed, he's going to stay in line.
Yeah, Barry driving very aggressively here, trying to keep Ove behind him and trying to make the move on Herder in front of him. He's been dropping wheels left and right, so he's definitely working that car pretty hard as these guys get very close.
Trangerade, unfortunately, a lot of wheel spin off of that slow hairpin. And that will deny him yet again as he falls back from West in that P10. Not missing anything up at the front so far. We did miss a pass for 15th, I believe. Is this? Oh, yeah, this was Corrigan, unfortunately, making an error at Brooklands, swinging a little too wide, deep into the corner. John Stevens says, "Thank you very much." He moves himself up 1 spot.
It's kind of a way you have to make these passes today, is just kind of put the pressure on the guy in front and hope he all he has to do is make a tiny little error and that door is going to open for you. So it's kind of the way it's been all through the field.
Come back live. Real quick check in on our leader just to give him some screen time. The Preacher, once again, leading everyone. The flock just following in tow, a whole 9.5 seconds back. Sergio Fernandez, just not any sort of threat to Juha today. Ooh, Barry West getting very close to Heroder once again. If we could jump back to 9th place, and Uwe also getting right up behind them. Didn't take long for him to recover after that error at this very corner through Luffield. They come to start another lap. Incredibly, we're only just past halfway in this race.
Yeah, this is a great battle. It's probably the best battle on the track so far. And like I said, Barry West has got a hungry Ove Trenkerade behind him, but he's also got a car in front of him that he wants to get by. So he's got to watch in front and behind, as Dustin Herder is all over the curbs through here, trying to get that momentum, sliding around a little bit. And as they come down the backstretch here through these last sections, this section of the track is so tough, but it's so fun to drive.
West has got a really good run. How brave is he? He looks to the inside, down into Stowe. He's going to get the wheels in there. Both of them struggling to hold control, though, and he just can't keep the momentum off the corner. Heroder comes back to the racing line, and despite Barry West taking another peek, he is stuck in P10.
That's such a tough place to pass. Excuse me.
There you go.
As the braking marker is so far to the left that it's really hard to judge how deep you can go into that corner. So when you're side by side with somebody, it's really, really tough to make that car stop and not slide into the car next to you.
For Angerade, I mean, like he might have a chance here or there. He's fast on the entry of some of these corners. Unfortunately, just can't get side by side with West. They come out of left field one more time, and impressed with the number 8 of Dustin, that he's withstanding this incredible pressure and not giving the spot up yet, but there's still plenty of racing left to go. He's going to have to do a lot more to hold off a charging Barry West.
Yeah, up front, the top 5 kind of separated themselves out a little bit. Not much happening up there. This is definitely the best battle, most interesting at least for sure, as Barry keeps sticking his nose on the inside, just really putting the heat on Dustin. Dustin did a good job just withstanding that pressure lap after lap, and Barry's going to try to make a move. He's so close.
He's much farther to the inside this time. In fact, he's a full nose ahead. He doesn't dare squeeze him off this time by like he did to Trankerade earlier, and that means that Heroder carries the speed and keeps him back at Bale. Oh, but he's a little bit too hot. We see another peak from Barry West. It is a drag race off the corner. They're going to swing through the left-hander of Abbey, and that'll give the advantage back to Heroder. Oh, and they bang wheels. Both managed to stay on course, still side by side as they come through bridge, but Heroder is the brave one and keeps it ahead. Oh, but he's too timid on the brakes. Here comes Barry West, not just him to the inside, but now Ove Trangrade side by side as they come through Brooklands. Can he seal the deal? It switches back into Luffield. I think maybe Dustin has damage as he continues to fall.
Yeah, Dustin's trying to just gather himself up as he's gotten passed by 2 cars. Now he has 1 more behind him, 2 more behind him trying to get by. He's just kind of gather himself up. That was amazing racing. So glad that they didn't go off the track, but that was amazing to watch.
And Dustin still looks shaky coming through the fast right-hander of Copps. Already he's going to be overtaken by Herner potentially. He's trying to fight back. That car is all over the place. Something has got to be wrong with the number 8.
Doesn't look like there's any external damage on the car, but it doesn't mean his steering's not going perfectly straight. I think he's just kind of got gathered up and just was so busy he just couldn't keep it going.
And it's not over for 9th place. It's still side by side. Oh, and Trangrade comes together with West. West has to brake to avoid him, and then Heroder goes off. And this allows Capoleto and Herner to promote themselves multiple positions. My goodness. The pot was boiling, and eventually the water came over the edges, and it made a mess.
Yeah, It looks like Barry just got on the gas and pushed out, clipped Ove, and they both spun, and then that brought Herder into the barriers, and those two behind, Herner and looks like Capoletto, are going to benefit from this.
Absolutely.
You can see the wheel turn. He's got to lift at some point, and yeah, and then Dustin just trying to miss those two, got up on the grass, just sent a nose into the wall.
Disappointment for all three drivers, but certainly a nice little present for Herner and Capoletto.
And you can see Dustin going through the grass, and then that little access road lifts the rear tires up and sends them into the inside barrel. That's disappointing for all three of them, I bet. That was a great little battle, and unfortunately ends the day for Dustin.
Yeah, sad to see it come out in a negative fashion for those drivers. But let's go up to 6 because Atkinson still has Taylor behind him, but these drivers have sort of been stuck in this position almost all race.
Yeah, I watched this a little bit earlier, and it's been about this gap since the beginning. So Atkinson doing a good job, and Kendrick Taylor having a hard time getting close enough. He closes up in the braking sections here, but as they come onto the faster sections, he's just not quite fast enough to get a run.
Lap's starting to tick down. We're closing in on the final third of the race. Oh, he's very close now as Taylor rocks up behind Atkinson, but Kopp's not often a place where you can outbrake someone since you're not braking. So he falls back in the wake of the car. Maybe he could set him up for the hanger straight.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a lift for that corner, and you just got to try to stay close enough through this area right here as they go back and forth. It does tighten up a little bit, and then you can get a run onto the next straightaway. That's probably your best opportunity to make the pass.
He's looking a little bit too far back, so Atkinson Jr. retains P6. This is lap traffic they're coming up on. McClellan, not the best of places for Atkinson. As well, they're going to have to take a compromise line to get by Bennett, but they stay in the same position. Atkinson still 6th, Taylor still 7th. Would stay with this battle, but can report that ahead of them for 3rd, Frazier and Suarez relatively close. They've been hovering pretty similarly to this battle that we see between Taylor and Atkinson.
Norlampi again, fastest lap of the race. He is no mercy on this field today. He's doing a great job. He's got 10 laps to go.
And after the depths that he's experienced in some of the other races, I think Norlampi wants to put the hurting on this field, show he's still got it. All he's got to do is hold out for 9 more laps and continue this torrid pace. It has been some great action through the field. Despite the difficulties in overtaking, we've seen some brave attempts and we've seen some fierce fighting.
It's amazing after that incident between Barry West and Ove Trinqueray, they're both still going. Their car's looking pretty good, albeit they're back in 11th and 12th, but the only person that paid the price for that one was Dustin. And we'll see how they feel after the race, but that was pretty exciting to watch.
Absolutely. So only 2 retirements. Roeder and Kayla are out of the race. McClellan is our last car still running in 24th. The only car a lap down. No, excuse me. There's 3 cars a lap downs. Salima and Bennett also. Let's go back to 17th place. Steve Sarles, Robert Plumley, and Adnan Dizdarevich all together.
Yeah, I'm surprised Adnan, he had a pretty quick car before this, and he had that incident, spun back behind these guys, and it wasn't able to make it up. But this has been a battle brewing for a little while. Steve Sarles really having to work his tail off to keep Robert Plumley as Robert keeps poking his nose in and out.
Getting awful close here to Priory, but not willing to try and surprise him into the corner. Adnan might be able to.
It's going to open the door for Adnan. Looks like Adnan's going to be able to clear that pass.
Yeah, textbook move for Dizderevich to get himself back up to 18th. And, is that Teolis? Or no, that's McClellan, excuse me. 13th place, though, with John Stevens. And side by side up to Maggots Beckett. So this gets a little bit hairy. Stevens, unfortunately, not able to hold back Tony Teolis. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think he expected Tony to be on the inside there. He started to turn in and then had to back out of it, and that just opened the door. So that's what I mean. You're going to have to make some moves just like that to make this happen. Although John Stevens looking to come back. He's going to try to go around the outside. This is that area I was talking about. It's really tough to get your braking zone correct.
He gets a good launch off of Stowe, and he's going to go around the outside into Vale.
Wow.
Returns the favor.
Yeah, that was a bold move. Nicely done for both these guys, giving a little bit of room.
This is Prix and Armando Edwards into this. Don't forget, this will become a 3-car fight very quickly if they keep this up. Teolis thinking about the outside of bridge. Nope, he's just going to stay in line. And here comes Edwards. It is now solidly a 3-car fracas as they come through Brooklands. Teolis stuck in the middle. He made it work once. Can he pull it again?
Yeah,
great
right
exit off of Luffield there.
Right, if we go right behind this group, there's a group of 4: Clorigan, Sarles, Deserver, Adnan, Robert Plumley, all battling hard. So you got 2 great battles right here. Even though it's back in kind of the farther end of the field, it's still pretty exciting to watch.
These guys just like to race. Doesn't matter what position it's for. And indeed, it is incredibly close there between Dizderevich and Sarles and Corrigan as they come through the Baggett's Beckett sequence. Somebody's got to get a run here. They're so close together. And I suspect that this is going to be Dizzy's opportunity. He's riding right behind Sarles as he closes in, but just not enough track. Oh, he's very deep on the brakes, though. Stays in line, and as that happened, we had a pass for 11th.
Yeah, Ove went around Barry West. Barry didn't fight him too hard, kind of gave it up, so I don't know if he feels bad by hitting him earlier. But Ove has taken back that position from Barry, so put him in P11.
There you see him overtaken into Stowe. Barry gives him the inside. And Ove actually pulling away a little bit from West after that. So while the start of the race, you talked about some of the drivers feeling it out. It was a little bit calm. We're starting to see more and more aggressive moves as the laps tick down.
Yeah, we're seeing a little desperation. We're also maybe seeing a little bit of tire wear coming into play as these guys are sliding around a little bit more and more.
Track temperature hasn't changed too much. It's actually a little colder. Oh, and John Atkinson throws it off the track in club. After all that whole race, holding back the likes of Taylor, all by his lonesome. Just snap oversteer.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just got a little loose. Quick correction with the steering wheel. Off he goes.
That sends him towing into the pits, and I think he's going to be our 3rd retirement of the day. Well, that's great news for Kendrick Taylor, who finally gets that 6th place. Patience is a virtue, and I think the number 14 has discovered that. Unfortunately, he is 14 seconds behind Steve Bycroft up in the top 5, so Kendrick not likely to take many more spots unless something dramatic happens in front of him.
We do have a group brewing here. Nothing happening yet, but Keith Herner's leading the group of 4 with Rodrigo Capoletto and Ove Trangarade is...
We did have something happen. Adnan Dizderevich was completely off track in Priory. And Steve Sarles was involved in this. This is multiple different incidents. It starts with Sarles with a spin. Got the replay here. And then you'll see Dizderevich go off at Priory, trying to recollect the car, comes back on. Is that where it finally settles out? He had a look at Simpkins in Brooklyn. As Simpkins went wide, and then finally everybody's got things together.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we had any car contact, but people going all over the place to miss each other.
So that changes that order to Plumlee up to 16th, Simpkins to 17th, Dizderevich 18th, and Sarles down to 19th. And that actually might not be over because Dizzy's all over the back of Simpkins as they come up to Vale. Looks like Robert going to be able to keep him back for the moment. I don't think that Adnan is going to let that sit. Look at him get underneath him once again. Looking around the outside of Abbey, maybe for an over-under here as he gets a little bit of the slipstream down to the inside of Bridge. This is where this all erupted last time, and it's a little bit more calm, but Adnan not able to take 17th away.
Yeah, back to the scene of the crime right there, but Dizzy able to keep it together, and he's just not giving up. Just going to take everything he can. That was really close on that camera view.
And I tell you what, Adnan, despite all this repassing, started this race in 17th, so he's trying to get back to where he gridded up. This will be a little bit of a disappointing day, I think, for the Michigan driver. Things are getting awful close for third place. This podium is not settled. Adam Frazier ahead of Suarez. There.
Yeah, just noticed that. There was a healthy gap, and then all of a sudden I looked up and Suarez is right behind Frazier. So you're right. This battle for that final podium spot is starting to heat back up as it was earlier in the event.
We'll come back to that in a second. We need a replay for Robert Simpkins, and I think this was out of Chapel. Yeah, he's just going to hand over the spot to Adnan on a silver platter when he loses control of the car. He doesn't hit anything, but unfortunately he loses multiple positions.
And you might see the result. Those rear tires starting to wear out a little bit, pushing it a little too hard. That's where the pressure is going to mount with some of these guys as we get closer to the end. We got 4 laps to go.
Back up to third place for the viewers. They are within a little less than 2 seconds to Fernandez. So Fernandez has to keep up his pace if he doesn't want to give a chance to Frazier. Try and get into P2. They only got a couple laps to go now. I wonder, since we've seen aggressive moves from other drivers, if Suarez will really go on the attack on Frazier.
Well, we've already seen these two go back and forth with each other at least once. So they raced clean, but we're getting near the end. So we might, like you said, Suarez might get a little more desperate. He's not quite close enough to make a move. So Frazier just needs to keep it clean and kind of try to keep that distance.
Certainly has done well so far. And we had a pass well down. We don't need a replay necessarily. Glenn Corrigan got overtaken by Plumlee for 15th. That was a simple slipstream overtake down Hanger Straight. Three laps left to go. Nora Lompe 18 seconds ahead of Fernandez. Just incredible pace from Juha today. Granted, there is no Gurno Frisch with us, so some of his main competition certainly not here to threaten that lead, but still you'd hope that maybe some of the others would have stepped up, but looks like nobody can manage to do what the Finn is able to today.
No reason to go back to the replay, but Ove Trengerade was able to get by Rodrigo Capoletto, put him back into the top 10. He's got Keith Herner right in front of him, so maybe a top 8 as we get closer to the end here.
Indeed. And, you know, it looks like Frazier is actually catching Fernandez. It was a little bit of a bigger gap, and now, yes, it's continuing to come down. Fernandez with a 29.2 last time by. Frazier with a 28.8. They're going to go by a little bit of traffic that stays out of the way. That's McClellan.
definitely dropping that gap. It's not close enough to get to make any serious moves. We got 2 laps to go, but Fernandez is starting to feel the heat a little bit. So he's going to have to step on the gas to keep Frazier and Suarez from swallowing him up.
And that, I wonder if that's exactly what Suarez needs, is if Frazier gets involved and distracted by trying to overtake Fernandez. Maybe that's 2 spots in one go for Pablo as they come out of Stowe, and it sounds like we got a little bit of a battle for 8th as well.
Yeah, Ove has really closed the gap on Keith Herner here. He's really trying to make up for that earlier incident with Barry West, and he's definitely close enough to make a move. And this is going to be tight right all the way to the end.
Herner really a mover this race. He gridded 16th. He's sitting 8th. Even if he does finish 9th behind Trangarade, it'll be a well-earned position. He's got a good run coming down the hanger straight. Trangarade looking to the outside. This didn't go well for him one time before, and he's going to pull out of it, not willing to risk the car.
That's that area I was talking about before. It's really hard to get that done, but you can just make that other person nervous by going back and forth in his mirrors, and hopefully it just makes a tiny error for you to open the door for yourself.
It is the white flag lap for Juha Norlampi. He's already about halfway around the track, and he's just dealing with a little bit of traffic at this point. He's got such a tremendous buffer, though. I don't anticipate he'll really need to push the issue with anybody, though most are being very polite and letting him through. Has not been the best of seasons for Juha Norlampi. Maybe this fresh paint is just what he needed. The now orange and blue car, what used to be white and blue, is going to come around the final few corners as he puts another lap on Francesco Solima around Luffield. Here at the home of British motorsport, it is a Finn who is showing everybody how it's done. Juha Norlampi takes the victory at Silverstone.
Yeah, pretty uneventful for Juha. Very good job, very well completing the task.
Well, Fernandez, though, he's got to complete this one. Just one more corner to go. Nice and smooth on the power. He certainly made it close, but Fernandez is going to take this second place just ahead of Frazier and Suarez off the podium.
Oh, we did have a spin, too. Right behind Ove and Trigger, I saw Roberto Capoletto go off on his own right behind this group. You can see him no longer in the picture.
Oof, that's disappointing at the very last lap. But let's stay with this battle between Herner and Trangarade because it's getting to be side by side coming through Bridge. Oh, and Trangarade backs out of it. Maybe looking for the over-under here at Priory as we get a defense from Herner. Another defensive move down to the inside. Oh, but he outbrakes himself. Here comes Trangarade. Can he keep the grip the long way around through the gray stuff coming through Luffield? It is going to be a drag race to the line. The edge goes slightly to Trangarade. It is awful close. Inside back to Herner. Who's got it? It goes to Herner by less than a tenth of a second. 3/100ths. And then in 12th position, Stevens comes away ahead of Edwards. Let's watch the replay on that one.
That was amazing. Those guys are racing hard. Herner did outbrake himself and open the door on the outside, but as you watch in the replay, Juha had to go around the long way. It gets up on the exit curbing, and Herner just had just enough momentum. Here we go. He's going to try to go around the outside.
Wow. Incredible. Just, you have to think that Ove is kicking himself thinking if he had just gotten the throttle down that little bit sooner. But that is going to close us up here for today for round 7. And we're going to take a little bit of a break where you will see the upcoming races on GSRC. And then after that, we'll have the official results as well as driver interviews. So stick around. Welcome back to Silverstone. It looks like we had a bit of a boring race up at the very front, but everything else was thrilling. Some all the way to the line. Juha Norlampi with a big gap of 18 seconds when all is said and done. Sergio Fernandez, who looked like he had things comfortable for much of the race, started to drop off, and he held off Adam Fraser to keep second. Fraser took third, and then behind them very closely, Suarez just off the podium, taking fourth place. Steve Bycroft takes a P5, nicely done by him. Kendrick Taylor up to 6. Then Jean-Francois Boscus taking P7. Keith Herner, how about him going from 16th to 8th, just holding off Ove Trangerade by 3/100ths of a second. Trangerade takes 9th. And then Barry West rounds out your top 10.
Yeah, coming home 11th is Rodrigo Capolletto. Even though we mentioned that he went off the track, he was able to keep going, didn't really lose any spots, just one spot to Barry. John Stevens comes home 12th. Armando Edwards kept John honest, comes home 13th. Good job, 22nd to 13th for him. Tony Tiolos in 14th. Robert Plumley in 15th. Adnan Dizzy in 16th. Steve Sarles in 17th. 18th, Glenn Corrigan. These guys all lap down. 19th is Robert Simpkins, and rounding out the top 20 is Todd Herner.
21st goes to Francesco Solima, 2 laps down, with Christopher Bennett 22nd. Duncan McClellan takes 23rd, and then you get into the DNFs for today. John Atkinson, I thought he was going to be able to hold on there in the top 10. Winds up 24th. Dustin Reuter in 25th, and Marco Kila in 26th. We've got our winner ready to talk to us, Juha Norlampi, absolutely schooling the field today. Juha, it seems that really nobody could touch you. 18 seconds at the line is phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, it was a pure joy to drive this car at Silverstone Historical Grand Prix. I had a super setup, and I just enjoyed.
I'd say so. You certainly pulled a gap early on, and then from there it seemed like you were cruising. Although fastest lap after fastest lap, you very much seem to be in tune with the car. I mean, how did it feel for you with the setup?
Yeah, I think we were like one, if you can say so. But it's a amazing feeling when you can have sometimes setup which suits 100% for your style, driving style, and the track. And this was, I think, this was one of the best setups I have ever have here and at any track, and I just love it. And it's fast, and it's steady, and it's nice to push, and it doesn't do anything what you are not expecting. I'm just amazed. Wish I had every time this kind of setup, but I haven't had.
Yeah, I think we all wish we could get a car that compliant. Now, do you consider Silverstone one of your favorite tracks here on iRacing? And if so, what about it just jives with you well?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite, absolutely. And after this, yes, it is one of the best, of course, because the car is now very good there, and my driving style suits here. I just don't know what is the key here, but I have learned this week more about driving here still, because I have helped those other guys to improve their driving style and lines, and to hit those apexes, and that makes me also concentrate more than before, because I have made a video that you can call a track guide, and I have sent it to those guys who have wanted to help, more help, and I have learned myself doing that too, and well, I can't praise too much about this car and this combo with this track, and let's see if I can do that in some other tracks as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's a sign of a great driver, even though he's 18 seconds ahead at the line, still learning every lap. Congratulations, Juha. Hope to see you at Spa.
Yeah, and I was very surprised to watch your video last week with who was that guy? He
Mick
was
Claridge.
Mick Claridge. Yes. Well, yes, I know you know much better.
Thanks. It was a joy to do that video. That was our winner, Juha Noralampi, here today at Silverstone. Real quick, Richie's going to talk to Barry West, who seems to have a lot of action here today.
Yes, Barry, you got a copy.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Barry started 10th, finished 10th, but it was definitely more exciting than just finishing where you started.
That certainly was. Yeah, it was really close racing, and I was quicker than Dustin, but just couldn't get past him. And eventually, I got level with him going down into Abbey and Bridge, and he said he apologised. He hit a bump and caught me, and that gave me a little bit of damage then. And yeah, I thought I was past to clearing away, and but so much happened, I can't really remember.
Yeah, I mean, you were having an incredible battle with Dustin, but right behind him, you had Ove really trying hard to get around you, and then you guys had just a little bit of contact and kind of
Yeah,
threw it
that
all
was
out.
really sad. Yeah, I was annoyed about that because Ove deserved a good result. He was patient behind us all the time. I had to try and defend against Ove, but still attack Dustin. And yeah, it was. I was quicker in certain places. Cops corner, the first corner, I was quicker, I think, than Ove, and so I could just get that little gap. But then on the last corner, he was faster than me, so it was touch and go all the time. And yeah, he was so close. And then he was lucky not to get caught up in Dustin and I coming together, really. But unfortunately, then when we had the contact, it was going into Stowe corner, and I knew he was on the outside. And we'd given each other plenty of room, and just a lack of judgment coming out the corner. I thought I was going to come in and just caught his back wheel. But and of course that spun us, and we lost about 4 places. So it could have been so much better, but we wouldn't have had the excitement then. So, but yeah, it's good. I mean, it's funny because I was going to let Ove pass. Well, I did in the end let Ove pass because obviously I was slowing him up, and I was trying to pressure. Who was it in front of us after the incident?
I think that was Keith Herner.
Yeah, Keith, and the damage was just holding me back, and then so I lifted and let Ove through to see if he could have a go, and I think he did get another place back, but it looked like he had an exciting finish. I could see it kicking off on the last lap.
They actually finished almost side by side. Keith ended up getting back on him, but it was a photo finish.
Wow, yeah, that was some. I mean, this track always produces excellent racing. I mean, much better than the new track, I think. But yeah, it's a great track for racing on.
Yeah, it looked like it was a lot of fun to drive, but also, with the low downforce, it looked like it really made it tough to get close enough to make any real moves without risking it all.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, I could get close enough on the hanging straight to Dustin, and then the time I did, I think we went round there side by side, and then of course the next little bit, club corner. That's really tricky because yeah, you just got if you lose so much time if you don't come out of that corner tight. And yeah, when you're fighting, I mean, he was offline, and I thought, oh, I've got him now. He's going to make some mistakes, but he was holding it. And then, unfortunately, going into over the crest into Bridge, he must have hit a bump because he came off sideways into me and took me wide. And yeah, that was a pity, really. I could have had a few chances early on in the race, but I thought, no, I'll bide my time because if you pressure somebody, it's much easier to pressure them into a mistake here. So you're looking in your mirrors all the time. It's such a fast flowing track, but yeah, I really enjoyed this track. So 10's not bad.
Yeah, I think everybody likes this car on this track. Well, nicely done on that top 10, and I'm sure we'll see you back at Spa next week, and hopefully we can get you another top 10.
Yeah, thanks, Richie.
And there you go, Joe.
That was Obviously, Barry West finishing 10th today, but he always gives us a good show on the screen. And we're going to close up, of course. So thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You could see them listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Richie, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget, head on over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button as well so that you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, as we mentioned, we're going over to Belgium for Spa. That'll be May 5th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.